Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Early voting is now underway across the state. We are live at a polling site with some of the issues people say they have faced.
And we are just seconds away from the opening of the 2024 State Fair. As you look live at Dorton Arena, we'll help you make the most of this annual family fun event.
That early voting in the 2024 presidential election got underway this morning in our state. So far, it is off to a very busy start.
Both political parties are pushing their voters to get to the polls early this year. WRAL Capitol Bureau Chief Laura Leslie is live at the Southeast Raleigh YMCA, one of the newer early voting sites in Wake County. Laura, what's it been like there?
Apparently that message has gotten out because the parking lot here is like an anthill. There's a line of people all the way out the door and down the sidewalk waiting to get in. We've seen a steady stream of voters really all morning here. You know, Georgia started its early voting on Tuesday and they saw double their record of turnout on the first day. We could be in for a record-setting day here in North Carolina as well. State GOP Chairman Jason Simmons was at the early voting site in Holly Springs first thing this morning, challenging his fellow Republicans to cast their ballots today. Across town here at the Southeast Raleigh YMCA, gubernatorial candidate Josh Stein joined other Democratic candidates to do the same thing. All across Wake County, voters are lining up, even though there are still 16 days of early voting left. Carly Mason and John Vassell were two of the voters we talked to today who said they don't usually come out on the first day, but they felt like this was a very important election and they didn't want to miss their chance to be part of it.
I think if you really want your voice to be heard and you care about your community and you care about women and children and education and your rights as an individual, you want your voice heard.
Newly released video shows a heart-pounding rescue in Seattle. Take a look here. The video shows a man standing on a ledge above the train tracks as officers try to persuade him to climb up to safety. Well, moments later, the man slips and falls 25 feet onto the tracks. Police had asked for trains to be stopped, but that train was already on its way. Two officers ran down to the tracks, pulled the man to safety seconds before the train passed the spot. Officers say the 57-year-old man was having a mental health crisis. He suffered numerous fractures and is now recovering in the hospital. A Royal Caribbean passenger is suing the company and a former crew member after finding a hidden camera in her cabin bathroom. The class action lawsuit accuses Arvin Marisol of taping the woman undressed during a February cruise on the Symphony of the Seas ship. Marisol was sentenced to 30 years in federal prison in August for filming guests, including children, with hidden cameras while they were naked.
A police officer who is a substitute teacher in Minnesota is under investigation after reenacting the murder of George Floyd in a classroom. Prescott, Wisconsin police officer Stephen Williams was supposed to teach English to kids at Woodbury High. Instead, students say Williams mimicked pointing a gun at students, twisted another student's arm behind the back, and eventually knelt on the neck of a student to reenact the murder of George Floyd.
My first thought is, what makes that person feel that it's okay to do that? I want to have strict assurances that this person would never be teaching my kids again.
Williams has not commented on the incident. He's no longer employed by the staffing agency Teachers on Call. Prescott police also confirmed Williams is now on administrative leave.
The government's bet on using artificial intelligence to fight financial crimes appears to be paying off. The Treasury Department credited AI with helping officials prevent and recover more than $4 billion worth of fraud overall for the 2024 fiscal year. The goal to protect taxpayer money against fraud, which spiked during the pandemic.
The Tampa Bay Rays are trying to determine how they can go forward with the upcoming season. Hurricane Milton blew the roof off Tropicana Field last week as it raced across Florida. Opening day isn't scheduled until March 27th of next year, but the Rays have to quickly determine whether they can play there or if they'll have to move somewhere else. So far, there is no estimate on the repair costs or how long it will take. That's some scene right there for certain. And even with all that time, now we're talking about March of next year before spring training and then the season, and they still don't know if that'll be fixed.
Well, now it is mid-October. Yes, we're squarely in fall, but we're looking ahead to winter and what that might look like. Elizabeth Gardner with the newest information from NOAA and our winter weather outlook.
And we're starting with a live look from Boone. And of course, we know all the destruction that happened in this area from Helene. But the town of Boone is saying, hey, we've welcomed the students back to App State. We are welcoming people to the town of Boone. You just have to realize that you shouldn't be heading out really from Boone. But the town, of course, needs the economic impact. And the Ski Resort Association for North Carolina put out a news release this morning and said all of the ski resorts will be open. Just be careful, coming and going, because a lot of places are still going to be in recovery. But of course, this part of our state needs the economic impact of folks coming to visit. So thinking about winter, what's it going to be like? Are we going to have much of a ski season? Well, NOAA's winter outlook shows that temperatures will likely be warmer than normal and precipitation drier than normal. That doesn't spell great news for snow lovers like me. However, warmer than normal and drier than normal can just be a few degrees. So, all of us will still have some hope, but that's the outlook for December, January, and February. And maybe that makes some of you very happy. We take a live look at Raleigh, and you can see mostly sunny skies right now. We had some cloud cover this morning that kept our temperatures mainly in the 40s. Now we've jumped up to 58. Our dew point is 37, which is nice and low. It stays cool today, 62 degrees, and that breeze makes it feel even cooler. Right now it's 54 in Roxborough, 58 Wilson, 58 in Rocky Mount, 57 Sanford, and 60 right now in Fayetteville. But it is a bit breezy. We take a look at our winds. They're steady anywhere from 5 to 10, but gusting anywhere from 15 to 25 miles per hour. So that's a fairly breezy afternoon for us. So just keep that in mind. We take a look at our temperatures for tonight. Tonight is likely to be clear. That should allow our temperatures to drop into the 30s across the entire viewing area. So 36 Roxborough, 37 Lewisburg, 38 in Rocky Mount, 40 in Raleigh, 36 Siler City. This morning, Sanford, Robbins, Southern Pines, Rayford, Siler City all dropped into the mid-30s. Even Sanford dropped down to 33 this morning. So there was likely frost happening here, but that could be a little bit more widespread for tonight if our temperatures continue to drop. And our frost freeze threat certainly looks like it. These brighter blue areas are where we have a decent chance of seeing some frost developing. Our normal low is 50, and in the triangle will be around 40. I think everywhere else likely will be in the mid-30s, mid to upper 30s. And then after that, very slowly, our overnight lows start to warm up. So a chance of frost tomorrow morning, but then after that, that threat for frost definitely starts to go down. State Fair forecast, of course, we're walking out the door to upper 50s right now. The gates just opened. If you're going to be heading out after work, 59 at 6 o'clock, 49 at 9 o'clock. So the temperatures will drop quickly. We will see some breezy conditions, but definitely a cool evening. 68 on Friday, so a little warmer, and then 71 Saturday and 73 on Sunday. It looks like an absolutely fantastic weekend for whatever you would like to do outside. As a matter of fact, the temperatures don't stop. We'll climb up to almost 80 degrees by Wednesday. It is still hurricane season, even though we're talking about the winter outlook. And so we're going to talk more about a system that we've been watching all week in the Atlantic.
Elizabeth, thanks. Coming up on WRAL News at 4, does your car have an unpleasant smell? 5 on your sides, Keely Arthur shares some of the best ways to get rid of unwanted odors.
And tonight at 6, disturbing new video related to a WRAL investigation into a local nursing home with a history of trouble. Hear from former residents and employees about the experiences and what they want the state to do to protect those who live there. And still ahead this noon, a new survey says more people are worried about missing their minimum payment. Coming up, we'll share expert strategies to help you stay on track and avoid long-term damage to your credit.
Also ahead, how the federal government is trying to make canceling your gym membership easier and faster. Nearly 40% of credit card holders say they've maxed out a card or have come close since the Federal Reserve began raising interest rates in 2022. A new report suggests millions are worried about how to make minimum credit card payments. Emily Schmidt explains how you can prevent negative impacts on your credit.
It was April 2020 when Donald Trump was president. Joe Biden got Barack Obama's endorsement, and we social distanced when more than 14% of credit card users last worried they wouldn't be able to make a monthly payment. This week, a survey said people feel that way again.
A lot of people are relying on credit to make ends meet.
The Federal Reserve Bank of New York data found the average perceived probability of missing a minimum payment in the next 3 months increased to 14.2%, the highest it's been in years. Those most concerned, people ages 40 to 60, and those making more than 6 figures a year.
More people are carrying more debt for longer periods of time, and that's a real drag on their personal finances.
Last year, 82% of Americans had at least one credit card. Their average debt was about $6,500. Bankrate industry analyst Ted Rossman says you need to speak up if you can't make a minimum payment.
Maybe they're willing to work with you in terms of rearranging your due date or giving you permission to pay less or nothing at all for a time.
Another option, nonprofit credit counseling agencies.
They can often negotiate something like a 7 or 8% interest rate over 4 or 5 years. That sure beats the average credit card rate, which is over 20%.
The key, Rossman says, act early. Negative payments could stay on your record for up to 7 years, potentially sticking with you even longer than your debt.
That was Emily Schmidt reporting. Since the start of this year, 30% of Americans say they've missed at least one monthly payment on a bill due to a financial reason.
Canceling subscriptions could soon become easier thanks to the new click-to-cancel rule that was just unveiled by the Federal Trade Commission. It requires businesses to provide a way for consumers to cancel their subscriptions. It's just as easy as it is to sign up. That includes everything from gym memberships to digital streaming and cable TV service. The rule addresses common issues such as sellers that misrepresent facts about the product and people being billed when a free trial ends. The new rule goes into effect 180 days after it is published in the Federal Register.
Voting sites across the state are now open for early voting. What you need to know before you cast your ballot.
Meta rolls out new safety features to protect underage users from sextortion scams. The new measures in place to help users spot and avoid online predators. And here we have a look at your winning NC Education lottery numbers. We'll be right back.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Long lines greeted some voters in Wake County this morning as early voting kicked into gear. Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Trump are neck and neck in the polls. Kelsey Coffey spoke with voters about what motivated them to cast their ballot today.
Wake County has 22 early voting locations. That's the most the county has ever had. And if you take a look at this line here, this is one of the busiest early voting locations in the county here in downtown Cary. We'll give you a look now at lines from even earlier this morning. And we have a few things to tell you before you head to the polls today. If you vote early, you can vote at any polling location in the county where you're registered. People who want to use same-day registration during early voting need two things: proof of residency and an accepted form of photo ID. Your North Carolina driver's license can serve both needs if it shows your current address. Wake County voters, there's a wait time tracker that you can use on the county website. That'll make it a little bit easier for you to pick which early voting location works best for your schedule. We caught up with a few voters today after they cast their ballots.
We did a look online for, what our ballot would look like prior to getting here. So we, were able to look a little bit more about some people we didn't know.
And I think that everybody owe it to themselves to be a part of the country and to build a part of democracy. So I think that everybody should vote.
The polls will close tonight at 7:30, and the last day to vote early is November 2nd. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Cary.
With less than 3 weeks until the general election, both presidential candidates are making efforts to reach a broader base. Trump used a town hall event yesterday to address Latino voters in Miami. One man who said he was no longer registered as Republican asked Trump about January 6th riot because he says he wanted to give the former president the chance to win his vote back.
Some of those people went down to the Capitol. I said, peacefully and patriotically. Nothing done wrong at all. Nothing done wrong. But that was a day of love from the standpoint of the millions.
During the town hall event, Trump also refused to back off false claims about Haitian migrants eating pets in Ohio.
On the Democratic side, Vice President Kamala Harris sat down with Fox News Network, hoping to reach viewers across the aisle. There were several contentious exchanges between her and Bret Baier, particularly on the issue of immigration.
Let's be very clear. I'm the only person who's running for president who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations, from the Sinaloa cartel to the Guadalajara cartel to people who have trafficked in guns, drugs, and human beings. I have spent a significant part of my career going after people who present a threat to the safety of the American people and cross our border with the intent of doing us harm and cross our border illegally.
Specifically, the inflexibility. Baier pressed Harris about whether she had noticed Biden was diminished. She countered by saying Biden has been up to the job and quickly pivoted to Trump, casting him as the one who can't meet the demands of the presidency. We have a voter's guide for you on our website. It has information about same-day registration, all the important dates you need to know, how to vote by mail, as well as information on voter ID requirements. Just go to WRAL.com and search vote.
A number of Wake County emergency responders are back in the Triangle after they recently traveled to western North Carolina to respond to Helene. 20 firefighters went to Mitchell County to assist the local departments with fire suppression, and they were there for a week. Wake County Fire Services Systems Administrator Chris Hoffman was among them.
Being there to help those 7 fire departments in Mitchell County, they're all volunteer departments. They had been going at that point flat out for almost 2 weeks as volunteers. So to be able to be there and supplement their staffing and help them respond to calls, it was a good feeling to be able to know that we could make a difference there.
Hoffman says all the people they met in Mitchell County were very happy to see them there. There's still time to help Western North Carolina residents. So far, WRAL Cares has raised more than $945,000 from more than 4,100 individual donations. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to WRAL.com and search help to donate. You'll find a list of other ways that you can help support North Carolinians in need.
As more children receive devices that grant them access to the internet, technology experts are sounding the alarm. Ted Lindner is sharing that worry with parents over the risks that their child could become a victim of sextortion.
Getting a cell phone, tablet, or laptop is a rite of passage for many kids. But while the devices can connect them to their friends and family, the devices can also unknowingly expose them to online predators. That's why technology experts say it's critical that parents have conversations with their kids about the dangers of the internet, citing how teens can be roped into sextortion. It's a practice where children are usually targeted by adults who pose as minors, asking for them to send explicit pictures.
And then they use that photo as blackmail. They might ask for money in exchange or actually ask for more photographs from a minor. And essentially what ends up happening is it creates this cycle where if the victim does give money, then they keep asking for more money. And if the victim doesn't give money or give more photos, then they share that photo with everybody on social media.
Oftentimes, the predator is a man posing as a teenage girl.
The individual, who is usually pretending to be a 14-year-old girl, will send a photo first. They will then ask for a photograph in return from the minor, usually a 12, 13, 14-year-old boy.
When teenagers realize they're being blackmailed, it can trigger intense stress and lead to an increased risk of suicide. Many kids suffer in silence because they're too scared to go to an adult.
It's really difficult for parents to want to talk to their kids about sexting and sextortion in general, but you've got to open up the communication line. Explain that this could happen. If it does happen, they won't get in trouble, but they need to come and talk to them right away.
That was Ted Lindner reporting. Meta and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children just announced a new campaign to help teens spot sextortion scams. Starting today, digital creators will add their voices to the campaign by sharing educational content with their followers on Instagram. Instagram is also rolling out a nudity protection feature that blurs images that contain nudity for people under the age of 18.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, some sad news to report. Mitzi Gaynor, star of South Pacific, has died. She was 93 years old. She starred in other musicals with Bing Crosby, Frank Sinatra, and Gene Kelly. And Gaynor, among the last survivors of the so-called golden age of the Hollywood musical, died of natural causes in Los Angeles this morning. Her entertainment career spanned 8 decades across film, television, and the stage, but she is best remembered for South Pacific.
All right, Michelle, thank you. This is a live look now at Roxborough. Lots of sunshine out there, but it is chilly. We will barely break 60 degrees today. You're watching WRAL News, available on a Hulu and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device.
It's estimated 138,000 vehicles were flooded by Helene, and car buyers need to be on the lookout for them. You may not have thought of this. Scammers will find those cars, clean them up, hide the flood damage, and then put them up for sale within weeks. Carfax estimates about 23,000 of those vehicles were flooded by Helene in North Carolina, damaged here. Signs of flooding aren't always obvious either, but they are serious. Look for mud or silt under the seats, moisture in the lights, upholstery or carpeting that has been maybe loose, it might be new, stained, or mismatched, and always have a trusted mechanic inspect the car before you buy it.
Bruce Pack has expanded last week's recall of meat and poultry products. The recall now includes additional products and production dates after routine USDA testing found listeria. The recalled items include salads, wraps, pasta bowls, burritos, enchiladas, and many other frozen and ready-made family meals. These products were shipped to restaurants, grocery stores, schools, and institutions nationwide. No illnesses have been reported.
Tickets for the popular Holiday Express at Pullen Park sold out, even after a glitch in the system forced the city of Raleigh to stop selling those tickets. The virtual queue, it opened at 8:45 yesterday morning. Sale began at 9. In a Facebook post, the city announced it was putting a hold on sales while the vendor worked to fix a problem. Those sales resumed at 11:45 yesterday morning, and everything was sold out by 2 p.m. The Raleigh Parks Department has not returned calls from WRAL News for an explanation about what happened. If you didn't get tickets, though, you can win them through the WRAL Holiday Express sweepstakes. The contest will be held in November, and WRAL is a proud sponsor of Holiday Express.
Experts warn the global water cycle is now disrupted. Coming up, what that means and how it could affect you and your family.
And also ahead, Halloween decorations are everywhere right now. Some of them, though, may affect local wildlife negatively. We'll explain which ones you may want to avoid as you get ready for trick-or-treaters. New video inside a Durham nursing home shows a troubling incident that ended up with a staff member sentenced to jail time. The nursing home is Carver Living Center, and it was the focus of a WRAL investigation last month. Sarah Kruger is here now to tell us about her new report that will air at 6 o'clock tonight. Sarah.
Jeff, since that story you first mentioned, I have heard from so many people. That includes residents, former staff, and family members, and the widow who sent me the video of her husband being assaulted. We will show you a longer portion of that troubling video in my report tonight. The employee in it ultimately pled guilty to assault. That was just one example of concerns I heard about the facility. In my reporting for this story, I spoke with more than 24 people. Take a listen from one of them.
Well, when I first walked into Carver's doors, I'm going to tell you this has been the worst facility that I've ever seen in North Carolina. The staffing, very, very, very horrible. I feel bad for the residents. The residents do not take showers on a daily basis. They do not bathe on staff. They like to go outside in the back and smoke cigarettes and leave the residents unattended.
And I reported in my first story that in the last 3 years, the nursing home had 42 citations. It's been fined more than $200,000. And I tried repeatedly to hear from Carver Living Center and its owner, which is CCH Healthcare. I have emailed, I called, I showed up in person. None of that worked, Jeff. They are unresponsive to all of my requests.
From talking with all those people that you did you get a sense of why they're staying at Carver Living Center, why they're not moving into a new facility?
Yeah, that's that's so tough for many of them. It's hard to move from a financial perspective, but also when you look at bed space in North Carolina for nursing homes, it is really scarce, and that has been such a problematic point for a lot of the people that I spoke with. Many of them described this really as a last resort facility, and so they just feel absolutely stuck there. Jeff.
You're in a tough spot there, Sarah. Thank you. You can watch Sarah's full investigation tonight at 6. It's a multi-part investigation with another story airing tomorrow and Friday in that same time slot, and that one explores what the state can do about situations like this.
Nearly 3 billion people around the world face water scarcity. Now, a new report from a group of international experts reveals that the global water cycle is off balance, a first in human history. The water cycle refers to the complex system by which water moves around the earth. Water evaporates from the ground, including from lakes, rivers, and plants, and rises into the atmosphere. The report blames decades of destructive land use and water mismanagement, as well as human-caused climate crisis.
Our climate just got a little colder overnight, and we're not quite done with it yet over the next couple of days. Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center right now. It looks nice enough out there, and we got that winter weather forecast, but I bet we're going to have a warm up here at some point.
We are. You know how things go around here in the fall, up and down and up and down. And we're headed on that roller coaster ride, not just at the North Carolina State Fair. We take a look at Apex, and we see partly cloudy skies right now. We will see a cooler night tonight. These clouds are likely to dissipate. Clouds that hung around last night kept our temperatures a little bit warmer. Definitely folks walking around out there with jackets on, long sleeves, long pants. This is a look at the big picture. We have high pressure that's over to our west. High pressure systems rotate clockwise, so that high is working to push some cool air in. We had a couple of fronts move through in the last couple of days, and so we just keep seeing reinforcing shots of cool air. And so that's where we are right now. We have a low pressure system that's sitting offshore, bringing a few showers to the coast. That's helping to funnel some wind across our area as well, so it's a little bit breezy this afternoon. Now that low will continue to move away from us, and it's going to take some clouds along with it, and so we'll be nice and clear tonight, which should allow our temperatures to fall solidly into the 30s across most of the viewing area. With that northerly flow today, it's also on the cool side. 60 for the high this afternoon in Roxborough, 63 Fayetteville, 61 Rocky Mount, 62 in Southern Pines. Some patchy frost is likely overnight tonight. It's a little breezy right now. We'll see some gusts. We're seeing some gusts right now, 15 to 25 miles per hour. But the winds will die down tonight, and that will allow some frost to develop potentially. 38 in Southern Pines, 39 Clinton, 35 Roxborough, 38 in South Hill. There were definitely some spots in the western part of the viewing area here. For example, Sanford, where temperatures got down to almost freezing overnight last night. I would expect to see that again. Here's a look at the North Carolina State Fair. A live view, of course, the gates are open. It is on for the next, 11 days, I believe. And we're going to start on the cool side and end up seeing warming temperatures. Today, of course, 62, but tomorrow 68, Saturday 71, and Sunday will be in the low to mid 70s as well. We have no rain in our forecast all the way through the next 7 days, and it's unlikely that we would see any the second weekend of the fair either, but that's a long way off. Our temperature right now is well below normal. You see the blue shaded areas, that's where temperatures are cooler than normal. The yellows, reds, oranges are above normal, and notice how we start to see just a gradual change through the middle of next week. And we're going to see above normal temperatures starting the 22nd, which is Tuesday, well into next weekend. And that's for a good chunk of the country. Just going to see a nice big warm up. Checking the tropics before I let you go. A 30% chance now that this wave out in the Atlantic could develop into a tropical system. Earlier in the week, it was 60%. Then it was 50% at 40. Now it's down to 30. So it continues to weaken. The models mostly bring it here if it does develop into the Caribbean. A couple of those may swing it out toward Bermuda, but at this point it has very small chance of developing at all. Take a look at this warm up. We're going to go from 62 today to a high of 79 on Wednesday. I told you it was a roller coaster.
You're not kidding. Halloween, it's almost upon us. It's a time for a lot of folks to put their creativity on display. We'll tell you why some experts say those decorations can pose dangers to wildlife.
And the winning Powerball numbers are 4, 30, 39, 44, and 60. The Powerball is 11. The Power Play multiplier is 2. As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines we're following today.
School officials have lifted lockdowns at Enloe and Rollsville high schools. Around 7:45, Rollsville had a message on its website indicating it was under a code red lockdown while law enforcement looked into a potential threat. The lockdown there ended just before 10 a.m. and the school officials now say that there was never any threat. Enloe went under a code yellow lockdown around 10:30 due to a potential threat near the school. That lockdown lasted less than half an hour. It was lifted later.
Early voting in the 2024 presidential election got underway this morning in our state, and so far it is off to a very busy start. Long lines at this particular voting site in Cary. Both political parties are pushing their voters to get to the polls early this year. Early voting runs through Saturday, November 2nd. Specific early voting days and times vary according to county.
And the gates open at noon for the 2024 State Fair. The fair features award-winning rides and 72 new food items, including a variety of sweet and savory options. For more information on parking, saving money, and when to meet the WRAL team, just go to WRAL.com. Search State Fair.
So here's something many people don't consider when decorating for Halloween. Those creative displays could potentially harm wildlife. Wildlife experts in California say they see an influx of wildlife animals tangled in decorations. And while the fake spider webs may look festive, experts say they can lead to potentially serious injuries.
People put up decorations that disturb wildlife and eating sources, because we put fake spider webs on bushes and trees, and we really don't want to be doing that.
Wildlife experts say fake spider webs are not only harmful to birds, but also insects, as well as other wildlife.
A 12-foot giraffe is headed to his forever herd, courtesy of a special convertible supplied by the London Zoo. It's a one-of-a-kind giraffe mobile, if you will. It has a retractable roof that allows animals to board the vehicle and ride comfortably. The 12-foot-tall Wilfred, right there, traveled in style to London to the zoo there for a quick stop to see his big sister Nuru. Wilfred will spend a little time in London before heading off to his permanent home in France. That's how he rolls.
Yeah. I think I saw a giraffe hug with the necks there. NBC News Daily is next on WRAL. Your next local news update in 30 minutes. Have a great time at the fair.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.